As people live longer, the economy of care for them calls for closer collaboration among governments and the private sector. That issue took centre stage in a discussion at the World Economic Forum, in which Singapore's National Development Minister Desmond shared his views on providing for the world's ageing population. CNA's Heidi Ng joins us live from Davos, Switzerland. Heidi, what lessons can Singapore learn from this forum in managing its own ageing population? And on the other hand, what does it bring to the table?
That's right. So for context, in Singapore right now, 1 in every 7 people is aged 65 and above. And by 2030, which is just 7 years away, 1 in 4 will be 65 and above, which really shows a huge shift in our demographics towards the aging population. And Minister Desmond Lee says that that really is an issue to be tackled. And Singapore has been planning this for a long time now. But he mentions that there are also challenges, such as shoring up the resources needed.
We need to make sure that we marshal the resources needed for the infrastructure and the spending that longevity will bring. And we do our best not to borrow for expenditure. It is for us to find the revenues, including raising taxes and streamlining expenditure, and not to borrow for spending, whether it's on seniors or on other users today, but we never borrow to spend on ourselves and expect the next generation to pay for us. Especially with the kind of demographic curve like that, many of you will see this, it's not sustainable.
Minister Desmond Lee also says that there is a need to continue to innovate, to find solutions that can cater to this elderly population. And one of them is, the community care apartments. Another thing he says seniors will need is last mile navigation. And that's not just in education and financial literacy, but they'll also need people to guide them to where these resources are. And he says that Singapore has dedicated organizations and people who will reach out to the elderly to show them where they can get help. So he really concludes by saying that, it's really all about good government coordination with the private sector to help the elderly in Singapore age healthily and actively.
So what else, Heidi, does the Singapore contingent hope to achieve at the forum?
That's right. So over the next 2 days, Minister Desmond Lee is still due to speak at 2 other forums, one on the care economy, so like the elderly care community that I was talking about. He's also going to be talking about childcare services, because that's also a growing need here in Singapore. And, as the demographic shifts, as more people stays in cities, he's also going to be talking about how urban development can and should remain sustainable. Another minister who is due to speak, Senior Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, he's also going to speak about how the rapid growth of the past century may not be relevant in today's times, or when there are so many crises that we're facing, inflation, cost of living crisis, energy crisis. So they're going to be talking about how that may not be as relevant in today's context. But beyond just Singapore, a key speech that we're going to be looking out for would be the one by Ukraine President. He's due to speak later today. And that's really one to watch after Ukraine's Interior Ministry leadership was killed after that helicopter crash.
All right, thanks for that. Heidi Ng reporting live from the WEF annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland.